What the hell is this? Alright, so we're back with these predictions, and I thought we'd mix things up a little bit because I think we're getting a little bit same with everything that was going on. You know, some of the categories were getting a little predictable and maybe a little stale. So we've kind of spiced this up a little bit. Let's get straight into the predictions for Wimbledon 2024. So the most aces for the tournament, I've got to go with Hurkacz. Massive serve, usually serves the most amount of aces. And on the women's side, I've got to go with Rybakina in this one. I think both of them will do well at Wimbledon as well, which is part of the reason why I'm picking them to hit the most aces. But that's who I'm going to pick. Hurkacz, Rybakina, most aces this week. So the unseeded players, it's going to be an interesting one. I'm going to go with Thompson. I reckon he's got a pretty good draw, and also he's been really good on the grass and can play grass court tennis and maybe do some upsets or cause some upsets. And I'm going to go with Raducanu. Now, she's got a very tough draw. If she can get through Alexandrova in that first round, I reckon she might be able to go on a run. So I'm going to go with Thompson and Raducanu to have an unseeded run at this tournament. All right, so the top 10 upsets, I'm going to go with the obvious pick. The easy picks. Casper Ruud on the men's side. He hasn't played grass, I don't think, at all in the last 12 months. Doesn't like playing on grass. Don't expect him to do well. And Zachary, who just can't win at Grand Slams at the moment. Outside of the top 10, I mean, there's other names you can put in there, but I feel like you've got to go with the guy who doesn't like playing on grass and the other player that just can't play Grand Slam tennis at the moment. All right, so my dark horse picks for the tournament. On the men's side, I'm going to go with Taylor Fritz. He's outside the top 10, but I reckon he could have a run here. He's got a pretty good draw, and if he can figure it out after just winning a title last week, if he can figure it out on the grass, maybe he can do well. And on the women's side, I'm going to go with Madison Keys. I reckon she's got a really good draw and should make it to at least the quarterfinals. Maybe she can beat Goff in that quarterfinal to potentially make a semi. So I'm going to go with the Americans, Fritz and Keys. All right, so our first different style of category, we're going to go with the quarterfinal one predictions, which is the top quarter of the draw. I'm going to go with Sinner versus Medvedev in that top quarter. I reckon that's what we're going to get. That's the matchup we're going to get. And I'm going to go with Sinner to win that one. On the women's side in quarter one, I reckon it's going to be Swiatek versus Collins. And I'm going to go with Swiatek to get that one. Even though Swiatek has a really tough draw, I just think that she has got a manageable draw. And especially considering the players that she has to play might not actually make it as far as we expect. You know, the tough players like Ostapenko might not even make it that far. So that's who my quarter one pick is going to be. In the second quarter of the draw for the men, I'm going to go with Alcaraz taking on Paul. And I reckon Alcaraz will beat Paul in a very, very epic match. I reckon that's going to be one of the matches of the tournament because those two guys really like to play fun matches. And on the women's side, I reckon it's going to be Rybakina taking on Pegula with Rybakina getting the win. So it's another really epic matchup there. So I think that second quarter of the draw for both the men and the women, that's where we're going to get the blockbuster matches. And we're going to maybe potentially get a 5-setter for the men and an epic for the ladies. Let's see what happens. In the third quarter for the men, it's a little bit more of a random quarter, and I'm going to go with Rublev taking on Fritz, with Fritz to win against Rublev and progress to the semis. Really interesting section. Of course, there's players like Zverev and Tsitsipas in those sections as well, but I just don't trust them enough on the grass, and I reckon Rublev versus Fritz will be that quarterfinal. On the women's side, I'm going to go with Raducanu versus Sabalenka. Now, Sabalenka has possibly the easiest draw, besides maybe a second-round match against Vekic, but Sabalenka will win that quarterfinal if they play. And in the bottom quarter of the draw, I reckon it's going to be Hurkacz taking on Djokovic. And I'm going to pick Hurkacz to win. I'm going to go with the upset. I reckon if Djokovic does make it that far, he would have gone through Runa to do it potentially. And I reckon the knee might just be feeling a little sore in the second week. And on the women's side, I'm going to go with Keys taking on Goff. But I'm going to get Keys to win. I reckon Keys is going to cause the upset against Goff on the grass. I just reckon Keys' game so good on this surface. So I'm going to go with Keys to beat Goff to make the semi. All right, let's talk about the first semi-final. It's going to be Alcaraz versus Sinner, according to my quarterfinal predictions. I reckon Sinner beats Alcaraz this time around. Of course, at the French Open, they played in the semi-finals. Alcaraz got the win that day, but I just think that Sinner on a grass court, especially with a faster surface, I reckon he might get the win. And Swiatek Rybakina will be that top section for the ladies, or at least the top half of the draw for the ladies. With Rybakina winning for me, I reckon Rybakina beats Swiatek on the grass. I just think if Rybakina stays healthy this week, she has got a massive chance to just beat up everybody along the way. Bottom half of the draw for the semi-finals, so I've picked Fritz taking on Hurkacz, a little bit random. Not used to seeing those kind of guys. I reckon Hurkacz will beat Fritz in probably a 5-set epic if they do play in that semi-final. And on the women's side, Sabalenka Keys, they've been in semi-finals before, but I reckon Sabalenka will get the win against Keys in this time and make it to the final of Wimbledon. And now the champions of Wimbledon. So Sinner versus Hurkacz for the men's side. That's my predicted final. And I'm going to go with Sinner in this one. I just think Sinner against Hurkacz, I think that Hurkacz will maybe get a little nervous. His first Grand Slam final, but I think Sinner will be too good and win another slam for 2024. And on the women's side, Sabalenka Rybakina. It's a match we've seen a lot. We've obviously seen it in Grand Slam finals before. I reckon Rybakina will get Sabalenka. She just sounded so hungry after the French Open that she wants another slam, and I feel like this is her best chance. If she does stay healthy and if she does play Sabalenka, who can get nervous, we've seen that in finals. We saw that obviously at the US Open final last year. I reckon that Rybakina will get her in the final, and that'll be the win. So there you have it. They are my predictions. Let me know down in the comments below. What are your predictions for Wimbledon? And also, do you like the new format? Do you like how we're going through each quarter instead of just doing an overall prediction? I know we've dropped off a couple of the predictions as well. I felt like they were just getting a little bit stale. We're picking the same country to do well. The best country this week will probably be the US or Russia. They're sort of the obvious ones. But let me know in the comments below if there's any other categories you think we should add to the predictions for the future. But there it is. They're my predictions for Wimbledon. Let's see if I do any good.